What is up, everybody? So today we are going to do a quick comparison on building in Rec Room versus building in Horizon. So they're pretty similar, but there are some differences, and I thought we'd go over a few of them. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So starting out in Rec Room, when you want to make a new room, all you have to do is go into Create, and you have a ton of templates already here for you. Let's just pick a random one. Let's go to the house template. It's already got a house built into it. It's pretty cool. We're just going to call it comparison. This is how you'll name it. We'll just name it 1, 2, 3. And we're going to go. Boom. We've made a room. So here we are in our template. If this was something that you wanted to build onto, you have it all here ready to go. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the basics of building with Rec Room. Everything you do in Rec Room is going to be done with this maker pin. This is your lifeline. So to get started, you just pop it up here. You have tons of different settings that you can work with. We're just going to open up the palette. So we're going to just start with the basic shapes first. You have a few, of course, basic ones: square, sphere, cylinder, wedge, pyramid, but you also have tubes and ribbons where you can basically make any shape that you want to make just by doing that. So, just by making a few rudimentary shapes, and you can just take the maker pen, move it however you need to move them. As you can see, I am a pro at this. I have been working with maker pen since 2005, and we have a really nice kitty cat here. So you can get this tube out. Let's change the color up. That was actually materials. You have tons of different materials to pick from. We'll get a different color, and we'll give them a nice big smile. See, that's going on the store for like 100 tokens if anybody wants it. Not really. But yeah, I mean, that's basically all there is to shapes. It's pretty straightforward. These are your shapes. Pull a trigger and you'll start making them. So here we are in Facebook Horizons. So to get started with theirs, all you do is to go into your menu, go to Create, and they do have a few templates. Not a whole lot, but they have some. We've got a PvP template, a puzzle template, and a narrative template. So you'll pull down on the thumbstick, at least on Rift. I'm assuming since it's all going to be Oculus, it'll be the same. So this is how you interact in this world, much like the self-scaling in Rec Room. You basically can just scale the environment up or down as you desire, and you just basically grip and pull yourself to wherever it is you need to be. So to open your menu, you're going to hit this little button right here, and you have a number of shapes, more shapes than you have over in Rec Room. You have tubes that are opened, you have little bridges that you can make, you've got macaroni, you got donuts. So each shape can be taken and then modified however you need it. You can stretch it any which way you need to, same as Rec Room. You can even scale it up, rotate it however you need to. Makes it nice and easy to work with. You do have a recolor palette. You do have a few materials, not as many as Rec Room, but you have solid, you got plastic. You can change the intensity on it and change the color. See how that kind of looks. Well, there you go. See? Make it real glossy or very matte. Got metal. Adds a lot of detail to it though. Again, very, very matte. Glow. Intensity, turn that sucker up. Change the color. See that it glows pretty bright. Playful Dreams, they have different palettes so that you can work in a palette and everything blends together very well if you're not very color coordinated like I am. This is very helpful. Alright, so moving on to the next section, we're going to skip gadgets. We're going to come back because that's where they start to get a little bit different. We're going to move into props. So props are full of tons of things inside of the game that you might want to use. You got guns, your bow and arrow, I mean, tons of different things to decorate your room with. I mean, just so many different things in here. Then, of course, you have your dynamic props. You have buttons that you can hook up to gadgets, make them do things. You have beacons to tell people where to go. Hey, bro, this is where you want to be. You have holotars. You can make a projection of yourself. So there's a lot going on in here. Just tons of different things that you can do. So as far as props go, Horizon really doesn't have any props just yet that I'm able to find. They do have a ton of sound effects though. Where Rec Room doesn't really have as much sound effects available. Although they do have the sampler so you can basically record any sound that you want. But there's a lot more here. Alright, moving on to the big section here, which is gadgets. So Rec Room uses chips like these here. And you can see just based on this base room and whatever this is doing, I'm not even sure, I'll have to go check it out, that it can get complicated fast. This is a very small circuit. Okay, and so that circuit, so all of these circuits here are just operating this door. There's a trigger zone here, and when you step into the trigger zone, the chips are telling the door to open with these gizmos right here. So as you can see, just based on how many chips it takes to get it to do that, that it can very quickly get mind-boggling. But if you're good with things like that, you can make that work. I mean, they have so many different chips. They have math chips, they have game chips, game rules chips where you can make your own games, and then they have a lot of built-in game chips. So you want to make a paintball map, you got the chip right there, you can make it happen. Super easy. They have other chips, so you can bring in fog, so you can get your background looking good. You can customize each one of these so that you have backgrounds. You can change the color of them. You can create a really neat atmosphere. So gizmos do a couple different things. So you can animate stuff. I'm going to animate our cat here. This is our animation. Pretty simple. Then you just come in here, you can configure this to automatically play, and there goes your cat. Obviously this is very basic, but you can do a lot more with it. So then you have other gadgets where you have invisible barriers, you have impulse volumes where you can send people flying, you have emitters with different kind of effects, you have light sources, you have you can move the sun around and change the color of it. Trigger volumes, which is what this is, where when somebody enters it, an action happens, the door opens. It kind of numbs my brain. I can't figure it all out. But if you're good with stuff like this, you can make pretty much anything you want. They do have Circuit version 2 coming out, which is supposed to be easier. I haven't seen it. I haven't worked with it yet. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, alright, so Gizmos is where it gets a little bit different. Alright, again, kind of like Rec Room, you have your trigger zones, you have doors, you have text, you got particles, your sound recorder. If they don't have anything in their sound library, you can obviously make whatever you want. You have spawn points, you have scripts. So let's check out this environment. So what you'll do is you'll pull them out, and then you'll check on the properties. And then you can start changing up how you want the room to look. You have sunrise, you have sunset, you have overcast. So you do have some sort of control over the environment with your little environment gizmo. Alright, we got particle effects. Again, just go in there, hold over it, check the properties on it. You can play, you can turn it on to loop. And then we're going to check what kind of effect do we want. You got smoke trail, which I can't really see because there you go, there's the smoke trail. You got confetti burst, so there's little confettis going out everywhere. So it's pretty easy once you get these things to just kind of open up the properties, start messing around with it, and you know, get something that you like. Here is where it starts getting really fun, going to the scripting. This has taken me a little bit of time to get. It is a little bit awkward getting started out, but here is a very basic script. Again, here is all the things that you can do with the script. I mean, there's literally tons of different options. And you know, when this happens, when that happens, then you can make it play animations, play sounds, play visual effects, show objects, hide objects, paint objects, do all this stuff. You have tons of logic, you have values, and then you can create your own new variables. So this one is very, very, very simple, and it still took me a little bit of time to get it because I'm really bad with stuff like this, but obviously if you're better with stuff like this, it's going to be easier for you. So we've got our script gizmo right there, and this is what we have going. So when the world is started, it's going to start playing the script. And basically I'm saying when event occupied with player, which is going to be this trigger zone that we're using right here, whenever I'm inside of that trigger zone, I want it to play sound 1-1, which I was messing around. I probably should come up with a very better variable name than that. But that's literally, it's 2 lines, so when you go into that, it plays a sound effect. So here is our control panel for the trigger volume right here. And we have added script 1, which is the script that we have here, with one variable, which is 1-1, and it gives us the option to reference what that 1-1 object is, which is the xylophone happy sound that we have right there. So that's the control panel for the sound effect, control panel for the trigger zone, and then the control panel for the script. So what we've done here is we don't have to attach any script to this one. We're simply referencing this sound over on the script attached to the trigger zone, which is this variable here, which is all kind of confusing. So all of that says is once you enter into this trigger zone here, it should play that sound effect. I've put a little cube in there because you're not going to be able to see the trigger zone, so we'll go ahead and test it out. You walk in, and you get sound effect. You walk out, walk back in, sound effect. So that's pretty much what goes on over here. It gets a lot more complicated from there depending on what you want to do. So many different ways to go about it. This actually took me a little bit trying to get the references and all that right, because the way it says this, it says play sound on instead of just play sound and then referencing that variable. So I kept trying to play it on self because you want it to be played on you, and that doesn't work. You have to be able to reference the sound. So that is very, very basic scripting in Horizons. So hopefully that helps a little bit, hopefully. Let's actually see if we can get this block here to disappear too with it. So we're probably going to have a new script. No, we won't need a new script. So what we're going to do is then we want hide object. We're going to add a hide object, and we're going to need to create a new object variable. We're just going to name it block because it's going to be that block. Actually giving it a right name this time. Okay, so we want to hide the block, which it didn't connect it there. I swear if you do not. Okay, now we're hiding block. So now what we need to do is we need to open up the control panel on the block. Let's drag this over here so we can see what we're doing. And you can see once we added this new variable here, it has been added into the script over here on the trigger zone. So all we have to do is come in and reference this block as that block right there. So now once we run the world and we walk into that, we should not only get the sound effect, but this cube should disappear. Hopefully. Let's see. And it does. Now we just have to add an event to get it to to reappear. Alright, so let's add an event to make it reappear. So instead of saying occupied, we're going to say when the trigger is entered. We're going to do all that, and we're going to hide it. So now we're going to come in here, and we're going to say, when trigger is exited by player, we are going to have it show the object again, and we are going to, of course, want to come over here and make sure that is block and not self. So running this should be able to do that. Let's see, hopefully. There we go. So when we step into the trigger zone, we get the sound effect, the block disappears. When we step out, the block reappears. So there you go. Again, that's very, very, very basic. We're saying once the world starts, run the script. Once you enter the trigger zone, play the sound effect, hide the block. When you leave the trigger zone, show the block again. We attach that script to the trigger zone because that's going to be doing all the work. And then we just have our variables, which are the sound and the block here, which we've referenced here as our variables in the script. So you can see that this will get really confusing really fast, but you know, people who are used to coding and working with scripts and stuff will be able to keep up much better than people like me. So, but that's very basic, very, very basic scripting in Horizons. Anyways, guys, that is the video. I hope that helps just a little bit, kind of giving you an insight on how Horizon's going to be doing their building, at least how it is right now. I know that I am not the best builder, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but wanted to give you guys at least a little bit of, you know, what's going to be going on. So, hope it helped. Alright guys, well I appreciate y'all for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video.